Hello and welcome everyone. It's Rachel Asensio here, and I'm here today with Birgitt Williams, and today's webinar is Leadership Competencies for Thriving with Change. So I just wanted to say a few words by way of introduction this morning. We are going to get started with our presentation. We're aiming to be out of here in under an hour. The presentation is, of course, being recorded, and we'll be providing you with a copy of the recording, as well as sharing it with other people who registered for this morning's webinar but have been unable to attend. So as I said, today is about leadership competencies for thriving with change. This is a topic that's near and dear to our hearts, and we will be also giving you a special offer for a really great event that's coming up this summer as well towards the end of the call, as well as at that point opening up for some question and answer period. So if you have been in programs with us before, you might find that today is very different because we're going to be delivering a presentation to start and then opening up for the option for the Q&A after that. And I've just got something coming up on my screen telling me that the sharing has paused, so hold on a moment and I will bring that back for you. Okay, here we are. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Birgitt. Birgitt, good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for joining us for exploring leadership for thriving with change. And we're going to go through a couple of slides for those of you that have been are with us on your computers. Others are with us on the telephone. So I will do my best not to be too visually focused here, knowing that you're here in a listening mode. The first slide that we're going to go to is has got a picture on it regarding a spider web, and the spider believes that she has wonderful order, and she's attached her web to certain anchor points. And the question on the slide is, well, before I get to the question, one of the anchor points that she has attached her web to is a cow. And the cow is standing still and has stood still long enough for her to be used as an anchor. And the caption underneath the slide says, "What happens when the cow moves?" And this is a picture that I have as a very dear picture from the perspective of leaders leading their organizations, enacting the artistry of leadership and believing that they can create something that would end up with stability. But they're always very much like the spider in her web that thinks she's anchored onto that which is stable, and instead the cow might move. And in most leadership competencies, there is, and the discussions about them, there is not enough consideration given to the fact that change is constant, that in our period of accelerated change in this global world where we're all connected in an instant through social media and so on, that not only is change constant, it's at an accelerated pace, and there is no integration time as there once might have been, where we would go through a change and then we would end up in a new state, and then we would be able to integrate into that, in that new state for a while, get stable, get our footing, and then we would enact another change. Gone are the days of something that could have been viewed as change management, where we had a better, a slower pace, where we could actually predict some of the stages of change. It's we just need to accept that the cow is always going to move, that there's always going to be change, and as soon as we think we've reached a new level of stability, there is going to be something that moves, and everything that we thought was stable is not stable anymore, and a new world ends up being created. I would like you to put yourself in the picture of being this spider. Her job is to make a job before she can make the pieces of the web. She has to anchor some anchoring threads. And a good leader chooses really good anchors, as the spider would, and then goes about the business of creating the best systems, the best threads from the spider's point of view. And there is an uncertainty that is right there as one of the anchors that we can visually see that the cow could move. But from that spider's perspective, she cannot see that the cow, or know that the cow is just about to move. And when the cow moves from the spider's perspective, her whole web gets torn apart, the systems she built get torn apart, even her ability to get her food gets torn apart. And then she, in her case, she might have to then start from the beginning again because the change was so profound. And if she, when she starts from the beginning again, if she chooses the exact same anchor points that she chose the first time, she will have the same results. So let's go on and look at what are some of the leadership competencies that we need to consider in a world that is constantly and rapidly changing, that a leader must navigate through. Now, just like the cow, she didn't know what she didn't know. So she didn't, the spider, she didn't know what she didn't know, that one of her anchors was not going to hold steady. So during constant change, if the current state of a leader is, I don't know what I don't know, the leader and the organization could unknowingly be in trouble. So what the leader somehow, through some competencies, capacity, knowledge, something, the leader needs to, absolutely, it's imperative that the leader must shift their consciousness from a state of, I don't know what I don't know, to a state of, now I know what I don't know. And now if the leader can get to that state of, now I know what the leader has the opportunity to figure out what might need to be fixed. And I have the word fixed in quotation marks because that's an odd word, but that's the best word I could use right now. But really to be fixed and steer the organization out of trouble, lead the organization out of potential trouble. So how does a leader get to the now I know what I don't know? When a leader sits there from his or her own perspective, just like the spider in her web on the first slide, the leader does not know that they don't know something. So they don't even know to ask questions about it, like going around to the workforce saying, well, since I don't know what I don't know, what do you think that is? Well, that's not going to work. So what is it that might work? What are some of the leadership competencies that are needed? We'll go to the next slide. So to get to now I know what I don't know, the leader needs to have the competency to view the organization holistically. That is a competency, to be able to view the organization holistically, going beyond looking at the organization from a reductionist perspective of only parts and systems. it is a competency that needs to be grown for the leader to be able to do that. And secondly, and intricately linked, the leader needs to have the competency to provide leadership to the people of the organization, to view the organization from a holistic perspective. So it's not good enough if the leader can view the organization from a holistic perspective, but the leader needs to provide leadership to the people so that all the people of the organization can also view the organization from a holistic perspective, that the sum is greater than the total of the parts. The sum is greater than the total of the parts and systems. Okay, so what we use, and we're going on to the next slide here, what we're using in our Genuine Contact program is a tool called the Medicine Wheel tool that is based from the medicine wheel that was used by indigenous peoples around the planet for a very long time. And in 1991, through a council of elders, was shared with the human race after the story is that it was kept in the keeping of the indigenous peoples, particularly the North American Native peoples, and that in 1991, it was in July of 1991, it was released to be used by the whole human. Now, the medicine wheel tool is what we are using and what we are advocating for as a tool to be able to develop the individual leader competency and the leadership competency to shift to from I don't know what I don't know to now I know what I don't know. It is an organization-wide process when everyone in the organization ends up being able to view it from that holistic perspective as helped by this tool, this medicine wheel tool. It can also be an individual process of the leader, him or herself, to take him or herself constantly through a look at, okay, I have to go beyond the parts and the systems. I want to keep developing my competency to look at my organization from a holistic perspective, and this medicine wheel tool is going to help me to do that. And I'm going to speak a little bit about the parts of this tool, just so that you can get an idea of what a holistic perspective might contain. There are 7 components to this medicine wheel tool. In the center, you find purpose. Then going upwards to the north, you find leadership. To the right, to the east, you find vision. To the south, which is the bottom of your screen, you find community. To the left, to the west, you find management. And then the cross-culturally represents relationships. And then there's the circle of the whole. So that makes up your 7 components of this medicine wheel tool. And it's all sitting within the bigger environment of constant change. So the reason that we use a medicine wheel tool is as what we have used as peoples from the beginning of time as a mandala to take the all that we're seeing in our bigger environment, all the change, all the complexity, and because the human being with the finite mind cannot handle all of that complexity, the system was developed near the beginning of time, of recorded time anyway, of using a circle, which was initially in the Eastern traditions called a mandala, to just make take a piece of that bigger picture of the complexity of the world, to give a way to map it, to look at it, to grasp it, and to recognize that it is not linear. It is something that is like a spiral within a circle. And so the medicine wheel of the Native peoples is a form of a mandala, and it was divided by a cross into these four directions. So we have this medicine wheel tool, and what the leader can do is to start in the middle with purpose. And every time that there is a business purpose to be undertaken, to identify clearly what is our purpose in now going forward with a particular action. And then once the purpose is identified, then follow the thread that you see coming out of the top of purpose here. It goes first to leadership, and then the leader would be sitting there with this holistic tool and saying, okay, in order to achieve this purpose, what do I need to understand about leadership? For example, can this be carried out just by an executive order? Or do I need a culture of leadership in my organization to be able to carry out this particular purpose? And then if you follow the thread around, it goes to vision. And when I'm in vision, as a leader, I'm asking myself, okay, if we accomplish this purpose, what is it I expect to happen? What is the vision out there? Where am I taking this organization to in the future if we fulfill this purpose? I need to be able to answer for myself in the vision, so what? It's not just doing this particular business goal or whatever for the sake of accomplishing a goal. There has to be a so what. I'm leading this organization through uncharted territory into the future. What am I expecting to have happen if we accomplish this particular goal? So I'm going to look at that for everything I undertake. And then I'm going to keep following this thread around, and it takes me to community. And the question I would ask myself in community is, okay, who, even from the beginning, in working out this purpose, this particular business goal, this particular project I want us to undertake, or this particular strategic choice, who do I need to involve? Are there people in my organization beyond the executive team or beyond the human resources team? Who do I need to involve? And I might discover that I might need to involve people from all sorts of different teams in my organization. And I might need to involve people that are not even in my organization to accomplish this. And then my question to myself, following this thread around, would be, now what do I need to put in place, or what do we need to put in place together to be able to manage a successful process so that we can accomplish this goal, this project, and get to the expected outcomes with the people that need to be involved. And at that point, I might say, wow, I need to have a cross-functional team, and we don't have the capacity in our organization to work with cross-functional teams because everyone is so busy in their own team, they're not going to like this. And then I might need to look at some how questions of, well, how do we then make this happen? What do we need to build? What do we need to create? What are the discussions we need to have? How does this need to get managed now? So that is some of the conversation as a leader that I would have in the quiet of my own office while I'm thinking something through before I launch it. And it's helping me to have a holistic perspective, not a systems-only perspective. But I'm not done yet. Then I want to look at this element of relationships. And there are so many questions about relationships. And I'll think, well, my goodness, what's the relationship of formal leadership to this project? What's the relationship of the whole bigger organization to this project? What's the relationship of leadership to the vision? Should only maybe the formal leaders, the executive team, develop the vision? Or does the community itself need to have a relationship to the vision? Is it better if the leaders make the vision and then help the community to develop a relationship to the vision after the fact that it's already established? Or does the community have a better relationship to the vision if they have the opportunity to help us develop the vision? There's so many questions that I need to ask myself to carry out good leadership to get a business goal accomplished. So there's an infinite number of questions about relationships. Then what we look at is the circle of the whole. Is this particular business goal or project or strategic goal that I want to achieve, is it something that that we really need to benefit the collective wisdom of everyone that's involved? And if so, then what am I going to do to set in motion, even in my first announcement about this project, that we will be working with the collective wisdom of everyone involved? And that might be through something like a survey, or it might be through something like a highly participative meeting. And such highly participative meetings involving whole systems exist for us, including meetings that using methods such as open space technology or World Cafe or whole person process facilitation. We have ways to pull together whole systems of people, everyone within the bigger system, to get at the collective wisdom. So that is what I would be doing as a leader, using this tool to increase my competency and my capacity to view what I am doing in leadership from a holistic perspective. And there are also ways to teach the people in the organization and in the different teams to use this tool to also increase their competency and capacity to view the organization from a holistic perspective and to get better results than you get if you view it from a reductionist perspective of parts and systems only, like, for example, finance system, HR system, and so on. A holistic perspective gets us past those silos, past that reductionist thinking that runs organizations into trouble, runs leaders into trouble, runs leadership into trouble, and the siloed organization cannot be adaptive and flexible enough in constant change. So I'm offering to you that this holistic perspective is essential as a leadership competency for thriving and leading an organization that is in constant change and experiencing constant change from its environment. So I'm going to go on into the next slide and to talk more about when we have a holistic perspective, there are competencies within that leaders need to have. And the leaders need to have competency in working with universal principles and laws to lead their organizations to thrive in change. And they need to have the competency to provide leadership to the people of the organization to work in accordance with universal laws and principles. And you probably know this, and you probably know this as it carries out in your personal life. When you live in harmony with universal laws, you can be productive, you can be creative, you're innovative, you thrive in change, you feel like you're in the flow and everything is going your way. When you work out of harmony personally with universal laws, you end up feeling like you're struggling all the time. You end up with, even for yourself, some poor morale about your life even. You are less productive. You can feel even in conflict with yourself or with others or with your life. You feel sometimes like you're fighting all the time. So in personal life, we have probably each of us experienced the difference of what it is like when we work with universal laws and we're in harmony with them, and when we work out of harmony with universal laws. And so I offer now to you to take that knowledge that you already have and to explore that this might also be a significant leadership competency for thriving in change as a leader and for helping the organization to thrive in change. And I've chosen to highlight only 3 universal laws. There is the law of seasons, the law of balance, and the law of interconnectedness. And as a leader, I must be competent in knowing how to work with the law of seasons, with the law of balance, and with the law of interconnectedness. So on the next slide, we're going to look a little bit at the law of seasons. And some of you might even see yourselves in some of these pictures. And what we have in the top left corner is the springtime, and we have the reaching up, the new shoots coming out of the ground. It is springtime. There's new growth. It's a time for new growth, and it's a time for planting seeds. It's a time for planting little plants. Likewise, in the organization, there is a springtime. There is the right time for the leader and the people of the organization to plant seeds and to start new projects. Then to the right, top right, the picture is in the summertime. And in the summer, there's a lot of activity going on. There is a sense that the seeds and the new plants are all coming to some beautiful fruition in the organization. There could be some good planning taking place. There could be carrying out of projects. Things feel really, really good. Then in the bottom right-hand corner, we have a picture for the season of fall, the autumn. And the autumn is a time of harvest. It is a time of picking the fruits of whatever fruits there are. Yes, we could have picked some of the fruits already in the spring and some of fruits already in the summer. But the fall and the autumn are the times when we have the biggest harvest, when we can look and we can celebrate what we have created. We can acknowledge it. We can, really say, wow, we have completed something here. And we also need to pull up the old plants that are not going to produce anymore, the old that is no longer necessary, the old patterns Maybe it would be in the organization. Certain teams don't need to be a team anymore. And in this picture of the autumn, we have a fire, and we're actually burning some things that are not needed anymore. So there needs to be a time of clearing out, of getting the fields ready for the next spring. And then, of course, before we get to the next spring, we have the winter. And in the winter, it's a time of some rest. It's a time of understanding that underneath the snow, there is actually a lot going on. There is the readiness that is going on for the new spring, for the new plantings. And of course, under the snow, you have already bulbs and seeds and so on that need that winter rest and the winter conditions in order to be able to shoot up and be fabulous plants in the spring. So in leadership, we must have as a competency knowing for each project and for each aspect of our organization, when is it necessary to have winter? When is it, and let's work with the winter, when is it necessary to have the actions of spring? When is it necessary to help people to be calm that it's winter, to be calm that it's the spring of their project? We cannot expect harvest of the fall when it's really only the springtime. When is it the spring? When is it the summer? When is it the autumn? So we need competency to be able to work with the seasons, always being in push, 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 harvest mode, and to help our people understand that we need to work with the seasons for each project. Now, some projects might be in their spring and some might be in their fall at the same time. So we need to learn how to work with this for each circumstance that comes up. Going on to the next slide, we also need to have the competency to work with a balanced system. There's a law of balance in our universe. There's always balance. And one aspect of balance is that there is always chaos and there is always order. And both need to be in balance. It is not possible to get rid of the chaos and have only order, and it's not possible to have only chaos without order emerging. And a leader must have the competency to work in a balanced way with constant chaos and order, and to recognize that chaos and order both must exist, and that we need to learn to dance with order and with chaos, to know when we need the right amount of order, the right amount of structure, and the right amount of chaos, and to keep that in balance. And now on to the next slide with the balanced system. I would like to emphasize this because this is an aspect of the balanced system, the balanced law of the universe, that we are only beginning at this time, certainly in our Western world, to remember to work with. There is an equal balance between the seen world and the unseen world. The seen world is the world that, when you're looking around you with your eyes, what do you see? The seen world is the world where we can look at data, we can look at best practices, we can look at management systems. There is the seen world, and there is an equal balance that is needed with the unseen world. And we can call that the world of spirit or the world of conscious energy, but it is the world that we don't see with our eyes. Now maybe in the future we can see it, kind of like right now you might not think that there are a lot of activity on your skin, but if you had a very powerful microscope, you would be able to see there is actually a lot of activity on your skin. So that would be a way of saying the unseen world is only unseen so far because we don't yet have the fullest technology to see it all. So it exists, this unseen world. The unseen world requires us to be able to have, for example, a knowing that something is the right thing and to do, and we cannot justify with data that it's the right thing to do. We might be able to say, oh, it was my intuition, it was my knowing, or I got the message somehow out in the universe that this was the right thing to do. And that is working with the unseen world. And we also need to work with the seen world of evidence-based and data and so on. And a leadership competency that we need to cultivate is to be able to be comfortable and adept at working equally and well in both the seen world and the unseen world. And I want to say just a little bit more about that from the perspective of masculine energy and feminine energy. Inside each of us, we have masculine energy and feminine energy. Some of us are stronger with our masculine energy, so we need to grow our abilities with our feminine energy. Some of us are stronger with our feminine energy, and we need to grow stronger with our masculine energy. The masculine energy is much more about the seen world, and the feminine energy is much more about the unseen world. So as a leadership competency, we need to grow our abilities, our masculine and feminine energies, and to be able to work with the seen and unseen world as we make our decisions and what we help the people in our organization to do so that they are also working with the seen and the unseen world. In some cultures on this planet at this time, they're exceptionally good at doing that. Okay, on to the next slide. This was a picture from one of our friends and colleagues in Nigeria, and the picture of the man dressed up, he actually is dressed in a dress here, in woman's attire, with a showing from that perspective that the masculine and the feminine in looking at this medicine wheel that they did. It was a picture of the masculine and feminine at work. Okay, next slide, please. I've spoken about the masculine energy, the feminine energy, and I want to add one more competency, as well as growing those in ourselves and being able to work in a balanced way with the masculine energy and the feminine energy. We need to have the competency to know how to use them appropriately. Sometimes we use the masculine energy and it's the right use, and sometimes we use the feminine energy and it's the right use. And there is a competency that can be attained in knowing the right use in the right moment, in the right situation, of which of those two energies to use as we work with the balance of the universe. Okay, on to the next slide. The next law of the universe that I wanted to highlight is the law of the universe that we are interconnected. Always, we're all connected. We are connected, in some of us, in the seen world, but we are all connected in what is currently known as the unseen world. It's very real. we're connected. The wisdom of the native elders for all time has been phrased in words that include the honor of one is the honor of all, and the pain of one is the pain of all. If one person behaves with honor, everyone in the system can feel it. If one person is in pain, everyone in the system can feel it, even if they are not seeing them in the visible world. It can be felt. We're all interconnected. And also, in being interconnected, another native wisdom is that that which is built is constantly being destroyed, and that which is destroyed is constantly being used to build new things. Now, can you imagine the leadership competency that is needed to lead an organization from the perspective that everything is always interconnected? When something is happening in one team, every part of the organization feels it. When, and an example of organizations where a formal leadership team, the executive team, for example, works things out on their own without being transparent, everyone in the system can feel it, even if they don't see what is going on. For example, when a leadership team knows that it needs to enact a particular change, and it's talking about that change for some months, the whole system is already reacting to that change, even if they haven't even heard a single word about it in the seen world. And there's actually I'll leave that at that. But the leadership competency that is needed to be able to lead oneself as a leader in recognition that everything is an interconnected system. It might call for more transparency. It might call for a different means of communication. It's just this example that, of a leader that is able to say, we're all one big happy family. But meantime, inside of the self, in the unseen world, the leader is actually feeling, none of you support me. Well, what is the message that people are actually going to pick up? Is the message going to be, we're all one big happy family? Or is the message going to be that the leader doesn't trust the people? Well, the dominant message the people will get is that the leader doesn't trust the people, even if the seen words, we're all one big happy family. So imagine the leadership competency that is needed to be able to lead an organization with recognition that it is an interconnected system, that everything is related to everything else, that as something is being destroyed, something else is being built out of what's being destroyed, and the leader must be very, very clever to know that, to work with it. So instead of looking at a destruction as something that now is completely finished, to look at what is being destroyed, to use those elements to build something new. So it's one competency for the leader, him or herself, to be able to get to that competency, and it's another to help the competency to help the people of the organization to also understand it's an interconnected system. So if you have felt at all inspired by what I have presented here, there is an opportunity for you to learn more with us. And on the next slide, what we have is a link to learning more with us at the Genuine Contact Summer Academy, which will be held in Sweden, June 23rd to 28th, 5 days of exploring what the leadership competencies are for thriving in change. And during those days, we'll also be growing the leadership competencies of whoever gathers together for this summer academy with us. If you have been considering attending the summer academy, please get registered. We are looking for 15 new registrations between now and May 4th. And if you yourself cannot go, please think about leaders or people who are leading their own life that you know would benefit from an exploration of the leadership competencies in the way that we're looking at them, those presented today, and more for thriving in constant change. So just opening to some questions for the next few minutes. Please go ahead.
If anyone does have questions that you'd like to ask about any of the content that we've covered off today, or also about the Summer Academy itself, there are two ways that you can do that. One of which is by unmuting your microphone and asking that question, and the other way that you can ask questions is by typing them into the chat window, and we will be watching for those conversations to be coming in through the chat window as well.
Okay, so far no questions seem to be coming in, and I don't know if that's a problem with the technology or whether...
We've just had a question come in, a couple of them. First from Crystal, who's asking what to do when winter never has time to come.
The winter always comes, whether or not it's recognized. And so it might feel as though winter never has time to come, but after the harvest, there is a time for that particular project or for the organization as a whole where there is the blanket of snow of the winter. It might be a short winter, but the winter does come before new seeds can get planted. So I would encourage you to think about the situation in any organization that you're in and to recognize, where is the spring? Where's the summer? Where's the autumn? Where's the winter? And wondering if sometimes the winter is delayed in coming because the autumn has not yet even come. That's my best answer for that. Another question, please.
Thomas has noted that the mics are muted by the organizer, which is true. I did do that. And I don't want to unmute everyone, so I'm going to suggest that if you want to use your voice and speak, I believe that there's a button to raise your hand. All you have to do is click on that button. It will be in the little, there's like a little sort of navigation window for you, and at the very top of it is a orange arrow and then the button to mute and unmute yourself. And then there should also be a button to raise your hand, and if I see any hands being raised, I will go ahead and unmute that person. Thomas is also telling me he can't see that button. We've made a small shift in our technology and are still getting used to it. I'm just going to go ahead and unmute Thomas because I think he might have something to say, and we'll see what happens. Go ahead, Thomas.
Thank you. So, hello. Hey, everyone. I didn't have a question. I was just trying to figure out the technology, and then now it seems that I'm in air. So that's all. I just enjoyed the presentation. I look forward to the Summer Academy because I will be there. Thanks.
Thank you, Thomas. And we are also getting used to this technology. So if you do have a question and we can't figure out how to use your the audio, the mic, please do type that in, and Rachel could read it out. Okay, as we're waiting for any last questions before we close this webinar, Thomas, that was great that you are registered for the Summer Academy. We look forward to seeing you there so much. We assume that many of the people at the summer that will be joining us, like yourself, have a lot of experience with leadership competencies, a lot of experience in self-development and development as a leader, and there's still more to learn for all of us. So we're going to have quite an interactive time, a lot of participation, a lot of sharing. Unlike the webinar where there was a lot of presentation, there's going to be a lot of sharing, and the last day is actually going to be in a peer-to-peer mentoring circle as we're mentoring each other regarding leadership competencies. People who have attended the Summer Academy in the past in the different venues report back that they go through deep personal transformations and a lot of inspiration, as well as taking away tips and tools. It's not just philosophical. There's a lot of practical material that gets covered that can be implemented immediately upon leaving the Summer Academy. And then, of course, there's always homework for a lifetime. So any other questions?
Sabina didn't have a question. Another participant, she says that although she doesn't have a question, she wanted to say that the aspects like the seasons and the view on interconnectedness were really great, and that she is also already registered for the Summer Academy and really excited to be going. So Sabina, that's wonderful that you too will be attending. And yes, there's a couple of other people chiming in to say that they're looking forward to some more information about the Summer Academy. We will send out a follow-up email later today from this webinar. It will include a link to the recording so you can come back and listen to it again. It will also include the direct link to the Summer Academy page so that you can learn a little bit more about the program. And of course, if you have any specific questions about it once you've had a chance to look at that, we would be really happy to hear from you and to chat directly one-on-one about the program and whether or not the Summer Academy is a great fit for you.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you, Sabina. I'm delighted that you're also registered already. I would like to say a few more words about the Summer Academy. Now, in Sweden, the time for all of us in the Northern Hemisphere is midsummer. And in Sweden, midsummer is a big celebration. It is a special time where we've been there in midsummer before, and although the sun officially kind of dips in the horizon a little bit around 11 p.m. and comes up again at 1 a.m., there's not ever really dark. So it's quite an experience to be in Sweden at this time of year. It's something that I wish for all people to have an experience of at least once in their lifetime. Now, the organizers of this Summer Academy, Eva Svensson and Ulrika Eklund, they have found a venue that is at a healing spa, and at this particular venue, of course, there's healing waters and various healing services that can be obtained. It's a special site to assist people to heal, to rejuvenate, to recuperate. And Ward and I will be at that location a couple of days ahead of time. The venue allows for any of us who wish to book before the Summer Academy even starts, so that we can have a couple of days at the exact midsummer to celebrate midsummer Swedish style, to experience extra healing energies, extra rejuvenation energies. Ward and I will be there, so any of you that have joined us for the webinar or will be listening to the webinar in the future, Ward and I are promising some individual time with you in those days leading up to the Summer Academy to discuss whatever it is that you would like to discuss with Ward and I. Both of us are executive coaches, and we will be available and present to attendees of the webinar on those particular days if you wish to come and join us a couple of days early. So I hope that you do.
Okay, I don't see any more questions really coming in. We will be in touch with all of you about details for the Summer Academy and, of course, the recording. And I think that that is it for today. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all very soon.